There's a unit that could have ended World War II in 1943 instead of 1945, killed Hitler in his bunker before D-Day ever happened, and prevented 10 million deaths with a team of just 12 men. It's called Navy SEAL Team 6, and if they had existed 80 years earlier with their current training, equipment, and technology, the entire war would have been a completely different story. In June 1944, the Normandy invasion required 156,000 Allied troops, 5,000 ships, and 11,000 aircraft to establish a beachhead in France. 10,000 Allied soldiers were casualties on D-Day alone. It took 3 months of brutal fighting to break out of Normandy. The operation was the largest amphibious invasion in history, and it almost failed multiple times. That's what it took to get a foothold in Nazi-occupied Europe with 1944 technology. In May 2011, a team of 24 Navy SEALs flew 200 miles into Pakistan, killed Osama bin Laden in his fortified compound, and extracted within 40 minutes. Zero American casualties. The operation was over before Pakistani military even realized foreign aircraft had violated their airspace. One team, one night. Mission accomplished. In 1942, British commandos attempted to assassinate Reinhard Heydrich, a top Nazi official in Czechoslovakia. Dozens of resistance fighters and a two-man assassination team. They succeeded in injuring Heydrich, but he died a week later from infection, not the attack itself. Both assassins were killed. The Nazis retaliated by massacring entire villages. The operation succeeded but cost hundreds of lives and took months to execute. But here's what should terrify every military historian. A modern special forces team operates at a level of lethality, precision, and technological superiority that World War II forces couldn't comprehend. Night vision that turns darkness into daylight. Thermal imaging that sees through walls. Silenced weapons that kill without sound. Satellite communications that coordinate operations in real time from anywhere on Earth. Body armor that stops rifle rounds. Medical technology that keeps wounded soldiers alive until extraction. The technology gap. Why 1940s forces would think they're fighting ghosts. You need to understand the technology gap. It's not incremental, it's categorical. The difference between 1943 and 2025 combat capabilities is the difference between muskets and machine guns. Night vision technology. In World War II, darkness was absolute protection. Operations ceased at night because soldiers couldn't see, using starlight or moonlight. Ambushes were devastating because you couldn't identify threats until they were shooting at you. Darkness equalized forces. The superior army had no advantage at night. Modern night vision turns night into green-tinted day. Navy SEALs operate in complete darkness with perfect visibility. They see enemy soldiers before those soldiers know anyone is there. They move silently through terrain that would be impassable to WW forces. They engage targets at 300 meters in pitch blackness with precision that daylight snipers in 1943 couldn't match. But here's what makes this devastating. They couldn't even conceive of it. A modern special forces team operating at night would be invisible, unstoppable ghosts that kill without warning. German soldiers would report that American demons appeared out of nowhere, killed entire squads silently, and vanished. They'd think they were fighting supernatural forces. Thermal imaging sees through walls, fog, smoke, and vegetation. WEOA soldiers hid behind cover and thought they were safe. Modern thermal scopes detect body heat signatures through solid barriers. You're behind a concrete wall? The thermal scope sees your heat signature and shows exactly where you're standing. You're hiding in dense forest? Thermal shows your body heat as a bright white shape against cool surroundings. Suppressed weapons kill silently. Modern suppressors reduce gunshot noise to hearing-safe levels. A suppressed rifle shot sounds like a stapler from 50 meters away. Combine this with subsonic ammunition and night vision, and you have soldiers who kill silently in complete darkness while enemies have no idea they're under attack. WA forces would hear nothing, see nothing, and then their soldiers would start dropping dead. The psychological impact would be catastrophic. How do you fight an enemy you can't see, can't hear, and can't locate? Satellite communications mean perfect coordination. In WWI, communications were unreliable, easily intercepted, and limited by range and terrain. Orders took hours or days to reach units. Coordination between different units was difficult. Intelligence gathering was slow. Modern special forces have encrypted satellite communications that work anywhere on Earth in real time. They can call in airstrikes, coordinate with other units, receive updated intelligence, and report back to command, all instantly and securely. They operate with perfect information, while the enemy operates blind. Body armor stops rifle rounds. WI soldiers died from wounds that wouldn't kill modern soldiers. A bullet to the chest was fatal. A bullet to the abdomen meant slow death from internal bleeding. Shrapnel from grenades or artillery killed or maimed soldiers at ranges that seem absurd now. Modern plate carriers stop multiple rifle rounds to the chest. Kevlar stops shrapnel and pistol rounds. Modern combat medicine can stabilize traumatic injuries in minutes. A wound that would have killed a WWE soldier in 30 minutes can be treated in the field, and the soldier might be back in action within weeks. The technology gap creates a fundamental imbalance. WI forces are fighting blind at night, shooting loud weapons that reveal their positions, dying from wounds modern soldiers would survive, and operating with information that's hours or days old. Modern special forces see perfectly in darkness. Kill silently from positions enemies can't locate, survive hits that would have been fatal, and operate with real-time intelligence. It's not a fair fight. It's a massacre. Mission 1. Assassinate Hitler and actually succeed this time. There were at least 42 documented attempts to assassinate Hitler during World War II. Every single one failed. Some came close. The July 20th, 1944 bomb plot nearly killed him, but none succeeded. Why? Because assassinating a heavily guarded dictator in a fortified location with 1940s technology is nearly impossible. But here's how a modern SEAL team would do it. Intelligence identifies Hitler's location. Let's say the Berghof, his mountain retreat in Bavaria. In our timeline, the Allies didn't seriously attempt to kill Hitler there because the facility was too well defended and too far from Allied lines. Bombing it from the air was considered, but the risk of failure was too high. A SEAL team doesn't need to bomb it from the air. They insert by helicopter under cover of darkness, except there are no helicopters in 1943. So this seems like magic to anyone watching. But let's assume they insert by some other means, a long-range infiltration through enemy territory. This is what SEALs train for, moving at night using night vision, thermal imaging, and GPS navigation. They cover 50 kilometers through mountainous terrain that would take WWI forces 3 days to traverse. They do it in one night, moving silently past German patrols that never see them. German sentries are scanning the darkness with their eyes. The SEAL team is watching those sentries through thermal scopes from 400 meters away. The Berghof is guarded by SS troops, the best Germany has. They're positioned at checkpoints, patrolling the perimeter, manning machine gun nests. They're professionals. In 1943 terms, the security is excellent. Against a modern special forces team, it's nothing. The SEALs approach to within 200 meters, unseen in darkness. Using suppressed rifles with night vision optics, they systematically eliminate sentries. Each shot is silent. Each sentry drops without a sound. Within 5 minutes, the outer security is neutralized, and the inner guards don't know anything is wrong. WEI-era locks and doors are laughable obstacles to modern breaching charges. The team places charges on multiple entry points simultaneously, detonates them in a coordinated breach, and enters the building before defenders can react. Flashbangs disorient anyone inside. The team moves through rooms with practiced efficiency, engaging targets with precision fire, Hitler is located within 2 minutes using thermal imaging and room-clearing tactics. He's neutralized with a controlled pair of shots to the chest and head. Confirmation is visual and immediate. The entire assault from initial breach to confirmation of kill takes 7 minutes. The team exfiltrates the same way they came, moving through German positions that are now in complete chaos. Radio communications are screaming about an attack, but no one knows how many attackers there are, where they came from, or where they went. The SEALs are gone before German reinforcements arrive. 18 hours from insertion to extraction. 12 men, 0 casualties. Hitler is dead. The war's trajectory changes completely, but here's why this would have been devastating. Hitler's death in 1943 creates a succession crisis in Nazi leadership. Different factions fight for control. The German war effort loses its central authority. Allied intelligence exploits the chaos. The German military, already stretched thin on multiple fronts, begins fracturing. The war doesn't end immediately, but it shortens by months or years because the Nazi command structure collapses. And this is just one mission. One target. Mission 2. Sabotage Nazi Germany's industrial capacity. The Allied strategic bombing campaign against German industry killed 600,000 civilians, destroyed cities, and cost thousands of bombers and aircrew. Expensive and of questionable effectiveness. German war production actually increased through 1944 despite the bombing. But strategic bombing had to be used because there was no alternative. You can't get ground forces deep into Germany to destroy factories. You can't infiltrate teams to sabotage industrial centers. The only option is dropping bombs from 20,000 feet and hoping some of them hit important targets. A modern special forces team doesn't bomb factories, they surgically destroy them. Here's how intelligence identifies critical industrial targets: ball-bearing factories in Schweinfurt, synthetic oil plants in Luna, aircraft production in Regensburg. These are the choke points that keep the German war machine running. The operation's small teams, 4 to 6 men, infiltrate to each target. They move cross-country at night, using the same night vision and thermal technology. German security at these facilities is designed to stop saboteurs with 1940s capabilities: guards, dogs, fences, locks. It's completely inadequate against modern infiltration techniques. The teams breach perimeter security silently. They navigate to critical machinery, the specialized equipment that can't be quickly replaced. They place precisely calibrated demolition charges on load-bearing structures, electrical systems, and irreplaceable machinery. The charges are timed to detonate simultaneously across multiple facilities. At exactly 0300 hours, every critical German industrial facility detonates. Ball-bearing production, destroyed. Synthetic oil refining, destroyed. Aircraft assembly, destroyed. Tank production, destroyed. Not damaged, destroyed. The explosions are so precisely placed that they collapse entire buildings and wreck machinery that takes months or years to replace. German war production collapses. Within weeks, the Luftwaffe is grounded for lack of fuel. Tank production stops for lack of ball bearings. Artillery production halts for lack of steel. The Wehrmacht is fighting with existing equipment and no replacements coming. But here's the strategic impact. Instead of bombing cities for 3 years with uncertain results, you cripple German industry in one night with a few dozen commandos. No civilian casualties, no bomber losses. Surgical destruction of military-industrial capacity that ensures Germany can't sustain the war effort. German forces in the field are intact, but they're running out of ammunition, fuel, and replacement equipment. They can fight, but they can't win. The industrial base that sustained their military is gone. The German military is effectively neutralized, not by defeating armies, but by destroying the supply chain that keeps armies functioning. Mission 3. Intelligence operations that change everything. Modern special forces don't just kill and destroy. They gather intelligence at a level buddy forces couldn't imagine. And intelligence is what wins wars. Imagine this capability in 1943. A SEAL team infiltrates to German headquarters locations. Using modern surveillance equipment, miniature cameras, audio recording devices, signal intercept technology, they bug offices, tap communications, and photograph documents. All equipment is so small and sophisticated that 1940s technology can't detect it. They plant a device the size of a coin in the ceiling of a conference room where German officers plan operations. It records every conversation for weeks. They place a camera disguised as a light fixture that photographs every document on the general's desk. They intercept radio communications using equipment that can decode transmissions in real time. The intelligence gathered is catastrophic for Germany. Allied command knows German battle plans before German field commanders receive orders. They know troop movements, supply situations, morale problems, and strategic intentions. Every German operation is countered before it begins because the Allies have perfect intelligence about what's coming. But here's the deeper game. The Germans don't know they're compromised. There's no evidence of infiltration. The surveillance equipment is too small and advanced to be found by 1940s counterintelligence. Documents aren't stolen. They're photographed and left in place. Communications aren't obviously intercepted. They're copied without the sender or receiver knowing. From Germany's perspective, the Allies have supernatural knowledge of their plans. Every offensive is met with perfect defensive preparation. Every surprise attack is anticipated. Every strategic movement is countered. It's like the Allies can read minds. The psychological impact is devastating. German commanders become paranoid, suspicious of each other, convinced there are traitors in their ranks. The intelligence advantage compounds. Not only do the Allies know what Germany is planning, they feed false intelligence back through captured agents and deception operations. Germany makes strategic decisions based on Allied misinformation, while the Allies operate with perfect knowledge of German capabilities and intentions. The war becomes unwinnable for Germany, not because their military is defeated, but because they're fighting blind against an enemy that sees everything. Mission 4. Rescue operations that save thousands in World War II. Downed pilots behind enemy lines were usually captured or killed. Prisoners in concentration camps couldn't be rescued. Resistance fighters captured by the Gestapo were executed. The distances were too great, the defenses too strong, and the rescue capabilities too limited. Modern special forces specialize in hostage rescue and personnel recovery. They train for scenarios that would have been impossible in WWA. And with modern technology, those impossible missions become routine. Scenario: a B-17 bomber is shot down over Germany. The crew of 10 survives the crash, but is behind enemy lines with German forces searching for them. In our timeline, they'd be captured within hours or days. Bomber crews knew that being shot down over Germany meant either death or years in a POW camp. The crew activates emergency beacons which don't exist in 1943. But bear with me. They signal their position somehow. A SEAL team inserts by helicopter or fast infiltration within hours. Using night vision and thermal imaging, they locate the aircrew before German forces do. They establish a security perimeter, treat any wounded, and extract the entire crew before German search parties get close. 6 hours from shootdown to safe extraction, 10 experienced bomber crew saved to fly again instead of spending years in captivity. The message to other aircrew: if you get shot down, we're coming to get you. The psychological impact on morale is enormous, but the capability goes further. High-value prisoners in Nazi custody, scientists, resistance leaders, captured Allied commandos could be rescued. In WWE, these people were written off. They were behind enemy lines in fortified facilities. Rescue was impossible. Modern special forces rescue hostages from fortified compounds as a routine mission. The tactics, training, and equipment that rescued Captain Phillips from Somali pirates or freed hostages in Iraq would work just as well against 1940s security. German prisons and POW camps are designed to keep prisoners in, not to stop modern rescue forces from breaching them. The Nazis kidnap a scientist. A SEAL team breaches the facility where he's held, neutralizes guards, extracts the scientist, and exfiltrates. The Germans wake up to find their prisoner gone and their guards dead, with no evidence of how the rescue was executed. It's happened again, the ghost force that appears and disappears without trace. Mission 5, Psychological Warfare Through Impossible Operations Beyond the Tactical and Strategic Impact. Modern special forces would wage psychological warfare at a level that would break German morale completely. Here's how it works. A German general is in his headquarters 300 kilometers behind the front lines. He's surrounded by security. He's in a fortified building in a secure area. He goes to sleep feeling safe. He wakes up with a suppressed pistol barrel against his forehead and a night vision-equipped SEAL standing over him. The SEAL doesn't speak German, but the message is clear. The SEAL places photographs on the bedside table, pictures of the general's family at their home, pictures of his children at school. The implicit threat is obvious. We can reach anyone, anywhere, anytime. Then the SEAL leaves. The general is unharmed, but he's been shown that he's completely vulnerable. Security doesn't matter. Distance doesn't matter. He can be reached at will. The next visit might not be a warning. The general reports the incident. Other German officers hear the story and don't believe it until it happens to them. A colonel wakes up to find an American knife stuck in his pillow 6 inches from his head. A Nazi official finds his office bugged with equipment he can't explain. A Gestapo commander's car explodes when he turns the key. But it's a smoke charge, not explosives, a demonstration that it could have been a bomb. The message, you are not safe. We can reach you anywhere. We choose when you die. The psychological impact on German leadership is catastrophic. They become paranoid, spend resources on security instead of war effort, lose sleep, lose focus. Morale collapses. Decision-making suffers. The entire command structure is terrorized by an enemy they can't see and can't stop. And here's the compounding effect. As stories spread about the ghost soldiers, German troops develop superstitions. They believe the Americans have supernatural abilities. They believe darkness itself is hostile. They believe no position is safe. Well-trained force, but even professional soldiers break under psychological pressure they can't comprehend. German commanders issue contradictory orders based on paranoia. They keep forces in rear areas for security instead of sending them to the front. They distrust their own intelligence because they don't know what's real and what's deception. The entire German war effort becomes reactive and fearful instead of aggressive and confident. One SEAL team conducting psychological operations destroys German morale more effectively than entire Allied armies. Why this would have changed everything. If modern special forces had operated in World War II, the war would have ended years earlier with millions of lives saved. Not because 12 men could defeat entire armies, they couldn't, but because 12 men with modern capabilities could eliminate strategic targets, destroy critical infrastructure, gather perfect intelligence, and wage psychological warfare at a level that 1940s militaries couldn't counter. Hitler, assassinated in 1943, creates German command chaos. Industrial capacity destroyed in coordinated sabotage operations cripples German war production. Perfect intelligence gives allies complete strategic advantage. Psychological operations break German morale and leadership effectiveness. Rescue operations save valuable personnel and boost Allied morale. The strategic situation shifts completely. Germany is fighting blind against an enemy with perfect intelligence. Their industry is destroyed by surgical strikes, not mass bombing. Their leadership is paranoid and ineffective. Their soldiers believe they're fighting ghosts. The war becomes unwinnable, not because Germany is militarily defeated, but because the entire foundation of their war effort collapses. And this is just one 12-man SEAL team. Imagine if the Allies had multiple teams operating simultaneously. Imagine if British SAS teams with modern capabilities operated in North Africa. Imagine if Allied Special Operations Forces with 2025 technology conducted operations across all theaters. The war would have ended in 1943 or 1944 instead of 1945. The Holocaust would have been shortened by years, saving millions. The Soviet advance into Eastern Europe might not have happened, changing the entire Cold War. The atomic bomb might never have been used because Germany surrendered before it was ready. The technology gap between 1943 and 2025 is so extreme that 12 properly equipped operators could change the outcome of the entire war. Not by fighting conventional battles, but by executing missions that 1940s forces couldn't accomplish and couldn't defend against. Night vision, thermal imaging, suppressed weapons, satellite communications, body armor, modern medicine, precision demolitions, miniaturized surveillance equipment. These aren't incremental improvements over WWEA technology. They're categorical advantages that create an insurmountable gap. A modern Special Forces team in World War II wouldn't just be more effective than 1940s commandos. They'd be operating in a different dimension of warfare entirely. They'd be the ghosts that German soldiers whispered about, the invisible force that killed generals in their beds and destroyed factories without being seen. The supernatural enemy that appeared from nowhere, accomplished the impossible, and vanished without trace. And Germany would have no answer, because you can't fight an enemy you can't see, can't hear, can't predict, and can't stop. You can only surrender and hope they show mercy. That's what modern special forces could have accomplished in World War II. Not victory through superior numbers or firepower, but victory through technological superiority so extreme that it might as well be magic.